Welcome to Balls and Brews. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
This beer, it looks beautiful.
It does.
It's good.
Oh,
it's
that's
good
a porter
Oh,
for
that's
sure.
definitely a great porter right there.
Darwin's Forehead. Okay, a very interesting name, and the can itself
It's a cool looking can.
Fonta Flora Brewery.
First one from there.
I want to say that we've had one more. I can't remember. It's a while ago, but for some reason that rings a bell because it's a super unique name for a brewery. And they're based out of, because I remember trying to say this in different ways, Nebo, North Carolina. And it drinks at a 6.2. So definitely a straightforward porter. We'll let it open up a little bit, but just heavy on the brown right up front.
Heavy on the brown right up front.
So I enjoy stuff like this, especially as it begins to let in some of those lighter notes. Like normally a caramel can kind of come out, or like a chocolate maybe. It all depends. But darker beers are a lot like wine in the sense of when they're like not aerated or when they're cold, they're very strict and you don't get all of the layers of flavor. So this is a 16 or 2, so it'll take us a little bit to get through. Unless you're Zach.
Nice little breakfast brewski.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they do make breakfast stouts and breakfast, but this is very much in that vein. Good call, Downey.
So we went camping last weekend. We dabbled in a lot of brewskis, man.
The triple of us, all of us went together. It was a hell of a trip, man. Prosser, shout out, what a fucking cool campsite that was, being beautiful right there. Yeah, it was. Slept like a champ myself, like.
I slept good. I woke up, my fucking couldn't move. My hips had tightened
that was
up so
unfortunate. But beer-wise, we were smacking some 805s, some different Elysian pack. We had those the supercharged Voodoo Ranger teas or whatever those were. We had a bunch of those.
We had the Deschutes pack as well.
Johnny threw up the Deschutes pack. That was good. Yeah, that one was the juice, the squeezies. Yeah,
that one. If you can find that one, that's the second time I've had it. All three beers are excellent. Obviously, you get fresh squeeze, you get a tropical hazy, and then you just get a regular hazy. All three beers are hella good. I advise anybody to get that pack. It's a damn good pack.
Yeah, and then I made some cocktails Saturday morning. Whipped up some Bloody Marias / Marys, depend, and then I gave the other boys, they wanted some screwdrivers.
Will you explain the difference between a Mary?
Yeah, absolutely. The use of tequila is a Bloody Maria, and the use of vodka is the more classic Bloody Mary. They even do it with gin, and that's called. It's good. It's not a bad. Once again, like it's all in the balance of the mix versus the booze itself, right? So they call that an angry snapper. I don't know why that one has a different moniker, but that is literally what it's called. And that one's pretty good too. But my favorite is the Bloody Maria because there's traditionally, if you get a nice like Blanco Reposado for tequila, it has kind of that peppery effect to match that with the tomato juice. It goes naturally well. It just, the palate works. I know that you don't enjoy that yourself. Well, that's why I brought the orange juice to make the screwdrivers, because I wanted to facilitate for everybody. I didn't want to, anybody left out.
But man, it was a great weekend. We had some good food, some good drinks.
Dude, we ate
good
well
weather.
too. Absolutely.
That's what I was saying.
We ate very well.
Dinner Friday night taco bar. We had breakfast burritos and
Saturday
hash browns
morning.
Saturday morning.
They banged.
Then we had a huge sandwich bar.
Yep.
Dude, Porch Subs would have been jealous, bro.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Huge sandwich bar. And then we had
dogs and burgers
and sausages that night.
Yeah, links too. Yeah, not just no regular dogs, but like sausages. Yes. Yeah, everything was A1 out there food wise. Yeah, and as much as you could pretty much get your hands on, it wasn't like rationed, right? Like you could have had as many burgers or dogs as you wanted,
or burritos or tacos. Yeah. It was like there's so much and drinks.
There was a cooler of drinks left. The whole cooler was just full.
Well, Trevor, as it were, you were in rare form night one, my friend. You got put to bed by Ms. Heather. She said, "It's now time, sir. You are going to bed."
We got there in the afternoon and it was game on.
Yeah, I mean, we got there and as soon as like Trev and Heather rolled up, me, Chuck, and Josh had just finished putting up our tent and Johnny's tent. So we were about to have a shot. So
correct. We hadn't even started drinking yet either.
Right at that point, we each had I had a beer at breakfast, and Josh had beer at breakfast, but Chuck didn't.
That's right. I was just water.
So we're waiting, and then Trev and Heather show up. So we're like, all right, let's take a shot. So we take a shot, help them
some Frey Ridge, that Nevada bottle, which is cool as shit, by the way. I do enjoy that as well.
So we got them all kind of unloaded. Then they went and kind of started setting up. We kind of helped. We got all their loaded, and then we sat down, had some brewskis. They came back up, and then Angelique and Kai showed up. Took a shot with them.
It was party time for Friday night. Was the rest of that was just time.
Had some good gaming going on too.
Definitely good games.
Oh, with the bags,
and the
too funny.
And the frisbee game. That
thing was
so fun.
If you didn't murder your feet, that was like one of the most. That was a great game. It was a lot of fun. But the spot that it was at was tough to negotiate. It hurt.
And then
needed some water shoes.
Those Jello shots that were only like Jello in form, but
oh my lord, Lisa was trying to kill us. Lisa, I forgot. Yeah, no, I blacked out on those. No, I forgot. I'm trying to forget those. I'm trying to wipe those from my memory, honestly. But the consistency of the Jello was nice. Amazing. It was great. Yeah. So clearly she knew what she was doing.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Am I putting too hard?
No, about Trev and his Jello shot.
Yeah, I could just see it in Zach's face.
So let's talk about
that. Was one of the funniest moments of the weekend, really. If I'm being honest. All right, inside joke. We'll let it go.
Let's talk about some sports now. We had history made earlier this week with Ohtani going 50 and 50. He in that game, dude. He had 3 bombs, 2 stolen bases, and 10 RBIs.
Yeah, so it wasn't just he happened upon it. He made a statement when he hit those markers. That game that might be the single greatest game in MLB history for a hitter.
And to put himself in history again as that club, he's the only member of that 50-50 club.
He's gonna be for a while. I don't see anybody being able to come close to that.
The only person I could think would be Ronald Acuna the year he hit.
Didn't
he? Because he hit. I don't know if he got to 40 that year. But
I think he was trying to get to 40.
But he had 73 stolen bases, so maybe he did get to 40. He had 42.
40, 50, still fucking.
He had
nasty.
42 and 73, so he might be the only person. But he, hurt again. Braves are. Which we'll go over here in a minute. Braves are having a rough time making the playoffs. They're in the fight. But, dude, it's just crazy that we were getting to see Ohtani do this.
Overall, we've been a fan of Ohtani on this pod collectively, and we all just kind of sighed when he went to the Dodgers. But, I mean, clearly,
money's worth, bro.
Look at everything that has happened just this year. And this is supposed to be his get-right year. He's not even pitching. This is just him hanging out at the plate and making you all look foolish.
That's why I think he should be a closer, not a starter.
I heard talk about him coming back as a closer.
That just makes sense because he only throws maybe 20 pitches.
Yeah. He can just close games instead of having to worry about starting. He could just become one of the great closers of the game and just hit bombs for you.
That would be so fire too.
And
for
steal
him to
bases,
close games, get those saves, and those wins with the home runs.
One of the most valuable.
Because closers are in this day and age, closers, especially when you get into the playoffs, to be able to get a guy out there.
Anybody who talks baseball in any stretch of the imagination will always say it doesn't matter until you get to the bullpen of the playoffs. You have to figure out your rotation, your pen, and your closer for the playoffs to make any sense.
And if you're a lead on the back end, it is very tough when you start getting in the late innings.
Absolutely. If you get squeezed and you're not up by 2, 3, 4 runs kind of thing, and you're trying to come back against guys who are pitching sub ones in the playoffs and shit, pitching rotation. Playoff baseball is another fucking beast, dude.
Coming up pretty quick.
It is, yeah. It is. I'm excited for that, even if the Mariners don't make it, which we're gonna touch on here soon. Prost.
Let's touch on our other MVP candidate. We'd like to shout out both dudes. Aaron Judge right now hitting 321. Oh, that's third. Just third in the major leagues.
Oh, yeah, that right there. See, now that it's opened up a little bit more.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's numbers.
Aaron Judge, 54 home runs. First in the major leagues. Aaron Judge, 137 RBIs. First in the major leagues.
And how many games did he miss this year?
Not many.
I thought was that last?
That was last year. Last year,
Jesus,
because he still hit 40+ bombs last year.
Right. That's what the point I was going to make now. But yeah.
Dude, he's playing. We're seeing 2 seasons, and if Ohtani wasn't 50-50, we'd be looking at Aaron Judge being like, man, look at this season. Plus, he's playing outfield. He's not just DH all the time. He throws dudes out.
Yeah.
I mean, defensively, yeah. And defensively, he's not like a hidden. You're not trying to hide him like maybe if Giancarlo. Well, if Giancarlo's out there, you're trying to like hide him defensively.
Giancarlo's. Yeah, talk about a flub for the Yankees there, huh? He never really lived up to that contract. He was good in Miami, but he's been schmeh for an all-star pay. Gave him schmeh. But shout out. Let's get into the races then, because we're right there, man. We're like 10 games out, baby.
Yeah. So right now the Yankees are leading the East.
Okay.
The Indians, I think, have clinched.
They clinched, yeah. The Guardians.
The Guardians. And then right now the Astros are 5 up on Seattle.
Yeah, they're gonna close that out. I don't see us being able to make up 5 games in 12. I don't know. I think we play them a couple more times.
Fucking Astros.
Yeah, right. Fuck them, dude. Golly, we had a 10.5 game lead halfway through the season, and we just fucking flubbed it, dude.
Yeah. Wild card race. Baltimore up 4.5, so they're basically in. Next, you're getting a little close. You got KC's only a half game up on Minnesota.
Right.
The Twins.
Right. And
which is
Detroit,
only a half game up on Detroit, which is out of the wild card by half game. And Seattle Mariners are out by 1.5. After that, Tampa Bay's 4, so they're probably out too.
So we made up a half game last night. We were 2 out at the start of yesterday's
Yankees,
games.
you guys lose 2 or 3 to the Yankees. Did you get one in that series? Because I watched 2 of those games, and you guys got
whacked.
Well, you got whacked the first game, and then
it was
did you see how you lost?
0, wasn't it?
Did you see how you lost the second game?
No.
I won't tell you about it.
Thank you. Please don't. I mean, I normally, when it comes to baseball, unless I can kind of like catch it on the MLB network, I normally just get it the next morning with like, the scores or whatever. Because I am definitely tracking standings. Or like some days I'll forget about it for like 2 or 3 days and be like, oh, fuck, where are we? And then it's like we made up a game or 2 or we lost like 3 in a row, got swept. I don't know, man. At this point, yes, stay competitive, see if we can sneak into the playoffs. You never know. With baseball, you can go on a run. But there's way better rosters out there right now, or at least performing rosters. I like our roster. We just aren't performing at the level that I think that our talent can. And when you're not doing that and you're trying to figure out, the new coach and everything, hopefully going into this offseason, we pretty much remain where we're at. I think we made some good acquisitions, some good moves, some good trades. I like the nucleus of that team, but I don't think this year's the year.
National League-wise, you got the Phillies leading the East by 6. You got Milwaukee clinching the Central again. Brew Crew getting it done again.
They just kind of hang out and make the playoffs, don't they? And then what they do.
Dude, every year. Every fucking year.
Or they're right on the cusp of it. They're
fighting.
Just out of
always
it.
fighting. Yeah. And not having a big roster, like big payroll roster either.
Never have.
Shout out Brew Crew, and they got sick-ass ball caps. Leading the West is the Dodgers by 3 over the Padres and by 5 over the D-backs. So that's still probably the closest division we've looked at so far.
And you know what? The Rangers, the defending champs, are eliminated from playoff contention.
They are. They had a slew of injuries as well.
We will have a new MLB champion for sure.
Wild card wise, San Diego's up by 3 over Arizona, who's up over the Mets by 1. After that, it's pretty close with Atlanta by 2, and that's it. So it's only Atlanta. It's only those 4 teams. Everybody else is out in the NL. So there's only a 4-team NL race, but it's pretty tight, separated by 2 games.
Love that.
I hope the Braves get in over the fucking Mets, though.
How monster! It's crazy to think that every year 162 leads to a half game in or out, right?
Dude, it's a long season, but man, we're like 11 games left, 12 games left, something like that. I mean,
that's less than 2 weeks. It's basically like 2 weeks of baseball.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
It's intense. I love it. I can't wait for playoffs.
So, in some other sport, another sport we haven't touched in a minute because it's off season and not a whole lot happens. Mr. Trust the Process, Joel Embiid got himself a doozy of a contract.
Yeah.
Is this kind of just the situation where you have to pay the guy because you can't not, or like running an organization like this where your superstar is elite when he's healthy and when he's on the top of his game, you want an MVP, but when he's not, he drags everybody down and he kind of disappears in the playoffs. I like Joel Embiid, but he disappears in the playoffs. That is historically true. That is historically true across several different series. So I mean, they gave him what 3 years, 198, some shit like that.
192.9.
What's
It's all guaranteed. That's NBA contracts are 100% guaranteed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. That's a ton of money, dude, for him.
Yeah.
The former MVP a total of $299.5 million through the 2028-2029 season.
Okay, right, because he's okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think you pay him because you drafted him, and that's the position your team is in. It's not a play that a lot of other teams would probably make a play for, though. Again, you talk about the injury history and the lack of success in the postseason. But I think you've already hitched your wagon there, so
right?
As well, just hope for health and for improvement with improving the surroundings around him.
Okay, so what is he going to hold out? Is he going to hold out if you don't give him the new deal or whatever? Was that the threat? Because he's still under contract. If it's only a 3-year extension and he's under contract until 28, 29 or whatever, that means he had years.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an extension, so you're still taking advantage of where the market is now, along with his age, and because someone with all his injury history,
there's a lot.
I don't know if you want to give him a longer contract as he gets further into his career.
Yeah, 3-year, but exactly. I think it's more of you kind of had to do it just to keep it kind of going.
Right. No, that has to be the other side of the coin. Is just like the media shitstorm would be unrelenting in Philly if they didn't handle Embiid properly at this point.
Yeah, being in Philly is another
animal as well. For sure.
Well, you just invested in Maxey this year too, and you invested in Paul George, so you got a lot of money towards the 3 dudes.
Taking it back to baseball real quick, the Shohei Ohtani, that contract, he's not getting paid enough. His contract is ridiculous.
Well, just like is Patrick Mahomes getting paid enough? Was Tom Brady getting paid enough?
Yeah, I mean, those are the 2 players I think of in sports
money
right now.
Shohei is like, the Dodgers is already a global brand, but when they are at peak form and they are headline news, oh my lord, that ownership group is just sitting on stacks of money. They're selling merch. They're selling tickets. They're selling everything you can imagine. That LA logo is iconic.
Start building the statue.
Even the secondary logo with the D is, pretty fucking,
Think about jersey sales with
all
Ohtani
of it.
On the name on the back.
Just Dodgers, just LA Dodgers in general. He's not that they haven't been on the map, but this is the front of the map. They are page 1 right now.
And he goes and does this 50-50, dude. It's epic, bro.
I know. I got to give respect to the history of everything just because it's insane. We will not see this maybe ever.
I'm sure we won't. This is going to be the
It's
peak.
absurd.
I don't know.
We might really think about
in our lifetime.
People might start working towards it now that there's a record.
Once it's the idea of accomplishment in the sense of once it's already been done and you know that it's physically possible, then people can put towards a program to execute.
I think having all those traits and talent to put it all together.
Acuna's a dude. He'd have to stay healthy. Acuna's a dude that could do it. He'd have to stay healthy. I don't know if Bobby Witt could do it with the bombs, getting to 50 bombs. He's more of that like 35 guy, the kid for the Royals.
What about Ellie?
Who?
Ellie De La Cruz.
Maybe he strikes out a lot. He steals
right.
a lot
So
of
what
bases.
if? Right. That's what I'm saying. He's got the bases on lock, so he's just got to get the dingers.
Yeah, he strikes. He swings and misses a lot. I saw some article. He's got
Well, then what if he has that one season where he just connects at a higher rate? Right. Like sometimes that can happen.
We'll have to see.
I wouldn't. No, goddamn Reds. No, I'm just kidding. I got nothing against Cincinnati, if I'm being honest. That was the game I got to see this season up at T-Mobile. I still want to call it Safeco so bad. T-Mobile is what it's called now. And I got to see Ellie play. Julio threw him out from center to third. It was a great fucking play. It was a great play. And I think we won. It was like we had to close it out in the bottom of the ninth. It was intense. It was like 3-1.
Good times.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
No, all good.
Baseball.
So let's touch on a little college football.
Yes. Okay. So technically, this was week 4, correct?
Yeah. Post week 4.
Because we're going into week 3 NFL. It's always technically a week in front.
Yeah. It's post week 4. They say. Okay. Right now, your top 10 is Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, Miami, Penn State, Oregon, and Mizzou.
Well, not Miami being in there. That's pretty neat.
Well, and Mizzou being 10, but everybody else,
It's because of that SEC bias. It's that SEC love. They got a lot of fucking intense games coming up,
They
though.
just had an intense
Yeah, that's
game
true,
in
too.
overtime
Yeah.
against Vandy.
There you
man.
go. And Vandy's not even supposed to be the cream of the crop in
Nope,
their own
not ranked.
conference.
As far as that goes, though, just ranked teams, Kansas State fell to BYU.
Ooh,
Heavily.
really?
Yo, they got smacked. It was like a 3-score game.
Yeah, 38-9.
Oh,
Damn.
that's more than that. That's 4 or 5. That's a whomping, dude.
Illinois upset Nebraska.
I
They
love
fell.
that
They
one.
fell to 22. What were they at? K-State.
K-State, they were at 13.
So they fell to 22.
Okay.
Yeah, new rankings just came out, I believe.
Yep.
this
I
morning.
love
I'm
seeing.
looking at 'em.
I love seeing the alumni beat the Cornhuskers, though.
That was a good game.
Right, and I also just think the two proud programs. I think that Nebraska is another one of those just overrated and overused. They haven't
I
been
don't know.
relevant
They
since the
haven't-
fucking 90s.
But I don't
bro.
think they're.
Since our-
Over, I don't think they're overrated. I think they're a pretty good team, and I don't think they're overused. I think this is the first time we're talking about them in years.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
It was a good game. They missed. They had a pick in the end zone where the cornerback was a little bit more physical than the receiver to take one away from Nebraska, and then Raiola missed a pass down the middle at the end of the game for a touchdown. The guy, he had him wide open and missed him. And then Illinois just stuck with it, man. They just ran the fucking ball and stuck with the game plan.
yeah. I mean, it's a good win for them. Gotta talk about Texas, really. Arch Manning gets his start, just crushes it as expected, kind of against UL Monroe. So not a lot of competition there. But as far as the other ranked games, Tennessee, Oklahoma last night, that was
It was a pretty solid game. Oklahoma fought tooth and nail to the end of that game.
they came back a little bit, but couldn't quite get it over the top. Of course, Tennessee just looked pretty good.
They're a very solid team.
Heupel's got them going.
They should be
man.
making some noise later in the year for sure.
Utah without Cam Rising beats Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma
That's
State
another
made a
ranked
run at
game.
the end of the game. That game was way out of hand. All of a sudden, I came back, and Oklahoma State had made a hell of a run to get to 19. They were losing maybe they were losing 19 to 3 or something, and they came all the way back. SC loses.
I
Couldn't
think
block-
that's the only other
Couldn't
big
block
game
a
of
fucking
note.
soul. Couldn't block a fucking soul. Offensive line did not play good. Gave Moss no time to throw, and then defensive line at the end of the game just kind of 90 fucking 90 was it 90%? So some crazy stat, right? Like back in the day, it used to be 77% of plays were up the middle or between the tackles, and now it's 77% of plays are outside the tackles. The Michigan team had 90% of their plays were inside the tackles. That's a fucking
smash
insane
mouth football, baby.
defense line just at the end.
Run
couldn't-
it down their throat.
And they did for the last 3 minutes.
But I still have hope for
I do too.
USC. This is probably the best defense that they were going to play this season. They do play Penn State, but I feel like Michigan's offense is less sustainable. I knew we weren't going to go undefeated. I think Michigan probably loses still one more than us. I feel like the way that they're playing. I know they got this win and it was big, but they're going to run into some better run defenses, and then that's going to be a problem, it looks like. Because unless their pass offense drastically improves, it's not a recipe for success.
Yeah. But yeah, I have hope for USC for the rest of the season.
Of course you do. I mean, you're still a top tier program. You got to get right, obviously,
They
at the
fell-
offensive line.
They
Like-
fell to 24.
Yeah, but see, with how crazy the Big
Same
Ten
as their
is,
score.
with,
Oklahoma's
with,
at 20.
with how big the Big Ten
Oklahoma
is,
State.
and with all of the big matchups that are still left, if you win the remaining difficult matchups, you could spike back into the top 12 easy. The Big Ten's gonna have 3 or 4 teams.
Oh, yeah.
It's too dense of a conference. It's got 16. It's like the Big 16 now or some shit. How big is the goddamn Big Ten now?
Who knows?
It's
huge.
It's huge. It's gonna be huge.
There actually is one last game I just wanted to touch on, just because
Touch
it's
it,
so
Trev.
ridiculous. The James Madison, North Carolina game.
Oh, dude.
70 to 50.
JMU blew 'em the fuck out.
They set a record for first half points. It was ridiculous, that
And
game.
I hate to, put him back in the spotlight because it seems like he's been trying to steal everybody's shine. But the Buffs came back and beat Baylor in overtime last night. The last second Hail Mary from Shedeur Sanders to a wide receiver who made an excellent adjustment on the ball. It was the wide receiver who really made the play. If I'm
Do
being,
you know which receiver it was?
God,
Was it Henry?
No,
Travis?
it wasn't Hunter. No,
Hunter.
it was like
Thank you.
something Forrest,
Yeah.
something like that. But he made a hell of a play, dug it up off the ground, no doubter about it. And then they went down, scored on their first possession, and then made the guy fumble out of the back of the end zone to close the game out. It was actually a fairly impressive display of grit, as it were. Now, I'm not high on the Buffaloes. by any
LeJohntay
means.
Webster.
Okay.
Wester.
Okay, see, so that's Forrest Wester. I don't know, whatever. I was off, but that's
We got
close,
there.
bro.
it's not
Don't
close.
just-
It's not. I'm not even.
I was not close to you, Webster and Forrest.
Not
a
close
lot of
at
different
all.
letters there.
Yeah, not even remotely close. But overall, very entertaining game. When he caught that, when Webster did catch, I was like, "Did he catch that? Did he catch that?" I'm screaming in my own goddamn apartment. I'm sure everybody was happy about it.
Finish out the first segment. Right now we got some NFL games going on. We'll touch on the scores real quick. Browns, Giants 7-7. Packers over Titans 10-7. Bears and Colts 0-0. Vikings over Texans 7-0. Saints over Eagles 3-0. Chargers over Steelers 7-0. And the Broncos are over the Buccaneers
Holy
14-0.
Read that last one to me again.
Broncos
14-0?
over Bucks 14-0.
Let's go. That's hilarious.
That's against our bet. That's not
Yeah.
let's go.
We bet the Bucks.
Yeah.
Plus -6 too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we're not okay. My bad. Don't listen to us on the bets, bro. We're gonna have to revisit those all together now.
Oh boy.
So do I have some beer to drink? Is that the end of segment numero
so we're going to
uno?
close out segment one,
Okay.
finish these Brewskis, come back
Excellent.
with some, whether they're these storylines of 2-0s, 0-2s, who's looking good, who's looking not.
Yeah, there's a lot of
is it
smoke
truth?
and mirrors, and yeah, yeah.
Is it
I agree.
truth or not?
God, I got some beer to drink.
Yup.
Welcome back to Balls and Brews. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers, gents.
Chuck, you start all the recordings, right?
Very interesting. Yes, of course.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I wasn't watching.
Is a very interesting hazy. It leans more towards a West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
For me, Rhinelander is the name of the brewing company out of Monroe, Wisconsin. Drinks at 6.1. It's called the Boatswain Hazy. So, Trevor, explain to us how this got on the pod.
Made a trip to Trader Joe's and they just had a bunch of beers that I've never seen, so I just loaded up the cart.
So here we are now. This is the first sample. And what do you guys think?
alright.
It's not as hazy as I was
Yes.
hoping for. I was
see.
hoping for maybe a little more juice. The orange is a nice compliment on the back end.
Very much orangey. I get heavy citrus on the back end. I do
But
agree
it
with
is
that.
hoppy up front for sure.
Yeah, when I see hazy,
You can tell by the body of the beer, if I'm being honest. It looks way more like a West
it
Coast than it
does.
does a
That's what I
hazy.
first told Trevor when we were pouring it. I said it's a
1000%.
little bit darker than I would assume.
So honestly, you know what this kind of says to me though is this is a beer that they were like, we know it's not a hazy, but if we just can it as a hazy, nobody will fucking question it. We just got to get a hazy out there.
Well, yeah. What are the requirements to put that on the can?
Oh, it's easy. It needs to be unfiltered. This
There you
is
go.
clearly filtered. Look at it's good, and it will really. Hops and citrus, I can find a way to drink that. You know what I mean? If the balance is there, and this is good. So, but it's not what. Once again, there's a certain profile that you're kind of going into thinking that it's going to be, and when it doesn't connect on any of them, you're like,
Any
"What the
of them.
fuck? What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
What? I don't understand. It would be like drinking a porter that didn't have that brown caramely malt right up front. You'd be like, "Why am I drinking?"
This is way more West Coast.
Yeah. 1000%.
If you like West Coast, I mean, this is probably more your alley than if you're more preferable to hazy.
Yes, 100%.
sure.
I would agree with
Oh
that.
my goodness,
100%.
yeah, especially upon a second review as we're
It
talking
is.
about it. There's no body to it. One of the things that I love the most about a hazy IPA is that it's got that real thick body normally. Sometimes a creamy head. No?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes a little bit more carbonation as well.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I totally agree with that.
Well, overall though, good beer. But just
mislabeled.
Yeah, correct. All right. Well, we have a cider that we're gonna be peeping into here a little later. So
I'll be peeping at me a little bit before these two. But
We'll see. We'll see.
Dranker.
So let's jump into some more football talk, boys. We got some games going on right now.
Some surprising games.
Surprising games. We'll get into those
boy.
scores in a little bit. We'll
Come
touch
back to
on but let's start off with some of the 0-2 teams that are a little bit surprising. And you think it's going to stay, or you think it's the narrative?
So it's obviously the AFC North teams have to be the most shocking, right?
Ravens and Bengals and then I also had down Rams, but the Rams are so hurt.
That's the reason why you can't overly be surprised, because even Stafford, though he's playing, is still kind of hurt, questionable. His legs,
but
are like
the injuries that they have
are
sustained,
insane.
I feel that they're like I had to make it in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen
with Coop
with these
and with
injuries.
Coop is out for who knows how long, and Puka's
offensive
out
lines
for the whole year, right?
No, I didn't. They didn't do season ending, did they?
I don't think
It's not
so.
Puka. No, okay, so then, but there's no timetable on either
Yeah,
return.
there's no table.
Steve Avila, the center you're talking about, he's hurt.
Yep.
I think they lost another tackle in the last game.
They're down to at least their second line on everything, just about, and it'd be meaningful position, if you will. It's like Kyron Williams is still there. But that defense, obviously, you haven't replaced an Aaron Donald. How do you?
But
like,
are you with me there? Because I think we both had the Rams making the playoffs. Were you ready to abandon ship?
I'm not abandoning. I won't
I'm
abandon
abandoning
that ship
ship.
yet. I'm not
I'm
abandoning.
overboard.
All right, Trav's jumping off. I don't want to jump off yet. We're 2 games in.
You're just a stubborn shit, is all you are, bro. That is what it is. You just don't like.
I'll probably go down with the Ram ship.
You will.
That's
I know you will.
I
I know you will. You've been a McVay stand forever and always.
I'm a Stafford
guy too. Yeah, no. So your fandom won't let you. Like your deep down fandom.
Too early. Too early for Zach.
I'm hanging on. To that
What if they go 0-8, dog?
Well, at that point, the ship's already like sunk.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But I respect it. I also think that McVay can find a way to make some shit work.
Too.
Best case scenario is that the Rams beat the Niners today, and then
Both teams are banged up, but
It's really
I mean,
bad.
this is
So where is it in LA? Or
it's in LA.
which means it's a home game for the
But
Niners.
traditionally, yeah, I mean, the Niners have had McVay's number. Like, this is usually their get-right game, but they have so many injuries with Kittle and Debo and McCaffrey. It's just,
your offensive weapons are just as depleted as their offensive weapons.
Yeah.
It depends on which line plays better at this point. And last week, Arizona fucking threw the ball all down fucking the Rams' throats. So Kyler played like a champ, which is
If Ayuk comes in big for the Niners, that could be.
they definitely did.
he's the only one out there.
That's what I'm saying. So now it's time.
Jennings.
Now it's time to be WR1,
Yeah,
Brandon.
yeah.
Now it's
Brandon's
time to
one,
do
Jennings
what
is
you
2.
wanted your money for. Now is it?
Hufanga does come back,
Ooh, that's big.
and that could
That's
be
big for that secondary.
Because they did need it. The
It
safety
also
play
could
last
be.
week was bad.
It also could be big in the sense that he hasn't played a whole lot, and he could be a little rusty. But
True.
I mean, when he plays at peak form, he's all pro.
He's
He was
one of
all
the
pro
top
2 years
safeties.
ago. Yeah. So it depends on
here's
which.
hoping.
Yeah, I mean, you want him to knock the rust off sooner rather than later. But I mean, I don't. But
so let's jump into the East or the North teams we both have.
Oh yeah.
So all of us I had the Ravens making the playoffs and the Bengals.
Same.
Chuck had the Ravens.
I have
and
the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
and
Uh-oh.
Trev had the Ravens.
Ravens
and
and
the
Bengals is making playoffs as well.
How are we feeling about both those 0-2 starts? The Bengals.
I'm not
gave-
jumping on either.
Bengals should have. I don't know what they did week 1. That was.
It's a
I
bad
don't know
week
what you.
one.
I didn't know what you were doing.
They didn't know what they were doing.
Week 2, they were a couple plays away from beating the Chiefs, so I'm totally not out on the Bengals. The Ravens, I'm a little bit more worried about. I'm not worried about them, but I'd be more worried. Their offensive line is very.
It hasn't
spotty.
gelled, and man, their schedule is rough.
That's
to
what I'm
start.
saying, and you're gonna have to go up against some of these defensive
The
lines.
end of it's brutal too.
Just not.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
Max
it's-
Crosby ran a wreck on them. They got T.J. Watt. They got Myles Garrett in that division.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
They got to
saying?
play them twice each. Yeah. No, I
So
know.
I'm more nervous about, if I was a Ravens fan, I'd be more nervous about my team than if I was a Bengals fan, just because of my offensive line. I know you were real close both weeks with the Raiders and the Chiefs, but your offensive line is giving up a whole lot of pressure.
Yep.
A whole lot of pressure, and your quarterback cannot be the one. He needs, when he's getting hit, it should be him when he's running and going, kind of getting pushed out of bounds. It shouldn't be in the pocket getting slammed around.
Yes, it hasn't looked good, but none of us are out on either of those teams yet.
I'm just a little bit more worried about. If I was a Bengals fan or a Ravens fan,
I couldn't even remotely tell you that I was like out on either of those teams. It's wacky and not predicted by any stretch. Like, and apparently I was watching a little of NFL this morning. Lamar Jackson has never lost 3 games in a row in his entire career.
Who they have today? Do you know
the Cowboys, yes.
Ooh,
it's a very interesting
game.
It is for both of them.
Especially the way the Cowboys played last week against the team we're about to talk about.
Dude, the juice is real there in that game. Both of those teams need that game already. Week 3, and I would say like they need that shit. I want to watch the Ravens bury the fucking Cowboys. Absolutely.
I'd love to see that too.
Anytime there's AFC, NFC, I want the AFC team.
Depending on whoever loses that game, it's all good for me.
All good. Either way.
Either loss is a good loss for my book.
Oh.
Talking about 2-0 teams now. So you got the Saints, Vikings, and Steelers as some surprise 2-0 teams. Let's start from bottom. Let's start from bottom up. Let's go Steelers first, Vikings second, Saints third.
The only reason why the Steelers are is because of the quarterback position, and just like Justin Fields has been doing just enough. We knew that defense was nasty. The running game has been serviceable, but Boswell won him the first game. Yep. He scored every point, and then this last game was just they eked that out too. Like I like that defense. I trust it. Defense travels. Running game travels, so their most important aspects that they hone in on, they do well. But if you need a guy to go out and win that game, do you believe in either of the guys under the center?
No, we haven't seen the one yet. The one that's played has. At one point, I looked down in the first half of one of the games, and he was like 7 for 9
but
for
like
52 yards.
Not even. No,
3.4 yards.
It was like 32 yards or something.
3.4 yards the average of a throw. And I was like, dude, you're winning this game, but you're not winning this game because of who's behind the center. You're winning this game because of like everything else that's going on, mostly defense and special teams.
Steelers do really make me think like when I'm thinking of a team that it's a quarterback away, they're showing that they are because their quarterback is just doing enough and the rest of the team is getting it done.
The only problem is it's not like where do you find that quarterback?
Right, correct. But if they added a guy who could fucking spin that rock to that roster,
if you could sign Kirk Cousins of Penix, but who else is like going to be out there that's going to be the quarterback that they're like missing? Because it's not on roster.
Yeah, well, they're still going for on roster though. They made those 2 free agent moves. They're trying to see what Fields is. They wanted Wilson to start, so they're hoping that one of those guys can take a step forward. That's the play they made.
If Fields doesn't throw a touchdown,
but it hasn't shown yet.
He plays
3. He threw a touchdown.
He ran a touchdown.
Which, don't get me wrong, is still a touchdown. But if my quarterback cannot throw a touchdown in 3 games, I don't care. I do care that we're winning, but he's not it. He's not it.
It's going to catch up with you,
and it sucks
in the playoffs if you make it there.
I linked my wagon to Fields for way too long. I jumped off of it way too late. And unfortunately, this is what this kid is.
Chuck's in the middle of the ocean paddling for boards.
That's factually true, actually. Thank you for bringing that to the pot. It happens. He saved my life when we were camping. We'll put it out there. It's okay.
A little paddleboarding incident.
Life happens quick.
Got brought up.
I said that I was just referencing where you're at with Justin Fields. I wasn't referencing where you're at with that.
That's good. Double entendres. No, Fields is... Yeah, I thought you could teach him. I thought he could learn it. Like, he played at Ohio State. Now he had insanely good talent around him. And, you can sometimes take those one-read guys and develop them. And that's what I thought could really happen because he had athleticism. He had a rocket front arm. When he does release it, he can throw it. But, he can't read. If his first dude isn't 2 steps in front of the guy behind him, he's lost.
He doesn't throw anybody open. He throws the ball late so much.
Yeah, behind them back, and not good back shoulder throws, not the ones that it's supposed to be.
Behind him.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
So I think we're all still not on board of the Steelers train.
I would say that they are going to come back down to earth sooner rather than later.
Next, the Vikings train.
Ooh,
has left the station, man. Let's go, Trev.
They put it to my team last week.
I started with you.
Justin Jefferson, just having him, I think that just opens up a new world for Sam Darnold, man. He's got weapons like he's never had before.
And having an elite coach, dude.
Yes,
we cannot
that
put
too.
it past elite coaches. What elite offensive coaches can do with people that didn't succeed for defensive coaches, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, we talked about this off pod just a little bit ago of some of the coaches that are just showing out, and he is one of them.
He's one of them. He's been one of them for look at what he did last year when he lost Kurt.
Potential coach of the
year. And then you
man.
had all those other dudes coming in and playing, and he was still getting dubs with all those other quarterbacks. So, dude, it's elite. When you have an elite dude, and now has he maybe fixed Sam? We'll get to that in a little bit, but
in preseason, we were all kind of out on the Vikings because we thought, man, that division is tough, and they're going to be following the rest of those teams. But
I just saw
bringing
some
in
ghosts,
Frazier,
that's who you were putting your faith in.
Well, bringing in Frazier
Seeing
on the
ghosts.
defensive side has made huge changes. Losing.
No, you're talking.
no, not Frazier. It's
Frazier's in Seattle.
It's the old
helping.
coach for
It's
Dolphins.
Flores.
Flores.
Dude, he's
I
been
was closer than
Yeah, you were closer than Chuck. He was elite. He was elite for the last 2 years, defensively with them. And we thought the loss of Daniil Hunter.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Was going to be a big one, but dude, you're right, dude. Flores has been a spectacular defensively
When you
for the last 2 years
when
too.
you
now.
got a guy who is coming out and giving you 2 tuds and 250 a game, the NFL has not been doing that yet this year.
And no picks.
Even Mahomes has been not that great. Burrow's been not that great. Jalen Hurts has been not that great. Quarterback play has been down for the first 2 weeks, big time. We had a stat of 73 fucking kicks were good last week, and we've had 36 out of 37 50-plussers go in, right? Field goal kicking is up. Defense is bending, not breaking, and they're even, it's crazy. The quarterback play has not developed this year, even with all of the rules and things going their way.
JA's been pretty good. So,
but I mean,
say all quarterback play.
That coaching.
He's just been a good manager, man. If you look at his overall numbers, they're good. But he threw 200 yards against Miami? Not even 190.
190,
he had
some
3
runs,
tuds.
yeah.
But I'm just saying, yardage wise though, it doesn't pop, right? That 300 number is what you're looking for. That's what. But now Geno threw for 300, but only 1 tud. So I'd like the 3 touchdown performance a little bit better. But I'm sidebarring, and I'm sorry, but I just think that the quarterback play needs to get better for the teams that we've just mentioned to be better.
But for the Vikings, though, I think that might be one of the better coaching staffs in the NFL.
Yep.
Having Flores on the other side or O'Connell, the creativity that those guys come up with in a game plan is phenomenal.
It's apparent. So far it's clicking.
Are you jumping on said bandwagon? Are you still holding?
Man, that division makes it hard for me to jump on there so early, but they could be that surprise team.
I might be on the bandwagon.
What about you?
I can smell the vapors. I can definitely smell
think they're so
where they're
close to
coming
being
from
that
for
team.
sure. No, I know. If they finish this game as strong as they've started it, and they rolled 3-0, and they've looked sharp, and they've beaten NFC contenders.
I'm on.
They've done road and home. I mean, it's hard.
I'm on. I lassoed up, brother.
Fair enough.
I'm
fair
on.
enough. I mean, it's hard to not argue with the success they're having right now.
My boy's playing quarterback. I like the coach.
Then you
I'm on
can
my
have it. So you
wagon.
can have an NFC wagon. You can have an NFC wagon.
I can't have as many wagons as I need to lasso to Chuck.
You do. You wagon a lot. You do.
I go to.
You
I'm
do.
a player. I'm a player guy.
I'm just a hater. That's why I don't have a lot of wagons.
Last surprise
I bring
team.
the wheelbarrow.
Last team that's 2-0. The New Orleans Saints. Not just by winning by little margins either.
That offense.
Fourth highest scoring.
And we
team
thought,
through
maybe
2 games.
Panthers, and then they come out and beat the piss out of the Cowboys too. I mean,
Oh yeah, no. When I looked at that game, I thought that was a clear game that the Cowboys were going to win, and just let the Saints kind of know what the NFL was like, and that is not what happened.
No.
In the slightest. I read that game was so far away from what I thought was going to happen.
So Saints are up 3-0 right now against the Eagles, and then the team we just talked about, the Vikings, is still up 14-0.
That game's still 3-0 and Philly Saints.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
a
just
big game.
refreshing
Wow.
again. It's a big game because of the team we're going to talk about in a little bit.
If
so.
they beat Philly this week, I am on that Saints bandwagon. Like, we thought
If
that
they
they were going to be
shut 'em
that
out.
team last year.
If they shut them out, if they not only do it with a low score but a
would
good
be
defense,
dirty.
that would exactly. That's what I'm saying. How do you not smell that?
Well,
Like,
because their defense has been good. Like lately, last year's offensive line did. Offensive
so
line
much
was
better.
one of the worst, so you couldn't
So much
run.
better.
And then
Well,
without
how
the
you
run
ju-
game, you can't. Derek Carr's not a good thrower without the run game. We saw that with the
every
Raiders.
quarterback's better with a good run game,
But there's
like,
some that
yeah.
can do without.
Sure. Well,
He's not.
no.
And, I mean, we all were pretty high
He
on.
still throws a good post, by the way. That
He's already
Rashid
had.
Shaheed, man, he throws a great
But
post
you
to
gotta
that
give,
kid.
but you
Like,
gotta give him a little bit of time. to
when,
throw the ball.
when he's got time to stand up and dish it to the middle of the field, he's got a good
Correct.
arm. He really does. Like,
You saw it with the Raiders.
yeah,
It
that's
just-
true.
it
He
just-
had that one MVP year before he snapped his ankle.
And then the year that we went to the playoffs, or we went
That
to the
was the
playoffs,
year
and
we
lost
went to
it.
the
No, then
playoffs.
the next year,
The
couple years
following
ago.
year?
No, only a couple years ago we went to the playoffs.
Oh, that's right. That's
Where
right.
We had
There
the
you
whole John
snubbed the
Gruden,
Chargers
and we
because-
almost beat the Bengals. We had the Bengals.
That's
on the
right.
ropes.
That's
Oh,
right. I
my
do remember
goodness.
that. I remember watching that game at Lead Dog, actually. Shout
But yeah,
Lead
I
Dog.
think the Saints. I'm going to hold for a sec, just because I know the coach, and I'm just a
We
little worried
have
about the
been-
coach.
But that offensive
We've-
coordinator,
Dude,
Kubiak?
It's Kubiak's son.
We've been.
I'm pretty
that
sure it's
family
Kubiak's
is just-
son.
I've been on the
offense.
fire Dennis Allen
You
train
have
for
been.
like 18 months now. A year and a
Kubiak's gonna
half
save
at
his
least.
job.
Like it looks like it.
Kubiak's
It looks
gets
like
his
it.
own job.
But
He's
right
gonna
now,
be a head coach
right
next
now,
season.
Right now, we only got a 3-point lead against a team that can still fucking pull away.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, there's a lot that can
A lot
still
of
happen
game.
in the second half for sure.
But the way that they've looked, man.
I know overall, and even okay. So even if they lose this game, but they lose it 10-7 or 17-14, whatever, right? It's a close game and they're competitive with it. You still can't say that you know
They're
Correct.
competing
you're
for
dog
the
shit.
South.
Yeah,
Right.
you're there. You're right there.
And
Like,
I know we all like
And
the
Tampa's getting smashed right now by the Broncos.
yeah,
17
Tampa's getting
nothing.
smashed.
Oh,
and
the
I-
Broncos scored again. They got a field goal.
Yeah, field goal.
Oh man,
Damn, that's not good.
Oh,
Not
Yeah,
good.
But
That's
I know
on
we
me.
were all high on Atlanta for the
I-
players that they brought in, but I think this could be like a last year thing. We were all high in New Orleans, and maybe it just hasn't come together yet.
No, I called Tampa last year, and I called them originally to start this year, and then I flipped to Atlanta because they signed Judon and
Simmons.
Yeah,
Yep.
I thought with the additions to that defense, I was like, "There's no way between this offense and this defense they don't." Now, still early.
They got a big
So
game
early
against
in week
Chiefs.
3.
They got a big game against
Sunday
Chiefs this
night.
week.
That's
They can
tonight.
just keep
That's
getting
tonight.
better.
That's gonna be fucking good, dude.
So the Panthers, probably one of the
Oh.
worst teams in the
There's
league.
a whole
Oh
lot
my
going on with
goodness.
them in there.
They
And it quarterbacks look bad.
they sit
Mr.
Bryce
Young.
Young, starting Andy Dalton against the Raiders today. I just want to point out, as we're talking about that they sat Bryce Young, that there's other quarterbacks that have run through there. Baker Mayfield playing for the Bucks, playing pretty good.
Pretty good. Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, he's with the Vikings now. He's playing
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You don't give a quarterback any kind of. You've tried to draft offense line, right? You have. You've signed offense line. They're still not very good offense line. You don't have no
they
time.
paid the most money for that guard in the free agency. They didn't do much in the draft on the offense.
Well, they went with
though.
a couple years ago. You guys took Cross and they took
Iquano.
Iquano.
Yep.
Their offensive line is not good.
It is
Your quarterback gets hit a lot. Now he's gun shy, so he checks the ball down like Johnny checked down.
So at this point, it has to be the coaching and
Well,
culture.
it's
right?
a new coaching staff now.
all the time. I know, right? And it never gets it right. So it's the culture. Then it's this like
It's the culture. It's the
owner who's
which
pushing his stuff too
he's
much.
the head of the culture.
And
if
if
the
you-
owner doesn't put, they put everything else into place.
And if you believe what
Period.
you heard all that other offseason is that Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud for his quarterback. And the owner's the one that wanted Bryce Young and got overruled.
But all other is like articles and things that I read was that pretty much the consensus was Bryce Young. So if Reich was on the CJ Stroud train, that could be very well true. But I did hear that the vast majority of percentages said Bryce Young was the QB1 coming
Well,
out of that
at
class.
this point, though, that's who they drafted, and
Sure.
they sat him, and they're telling people that they don't want to trade him because
They shouldn't.
Yeah, well, you spent
Why?
that, all that
You have
equity.
so
You
much
wanna
control over
try-
him? No, because you can develop him still.
You
You
hope.
hope it hasn't. It's
You
been
haven't wrecked
far.
him.
It's gone the wrong direction so far.
But right. But this is
Callis did do
We're-
good
we're-
with Mayfield last season, though, so maybe
Canales.
Yeah.
We're Americans. We love nothing more than a redemption story,
Sure.
okay? So this kid's going to ride some pine. Andy Dalton is a proven starter, 11, 12-game winner in this fucking, per season with Marvin Lewis. They won like 10 games for like 10 years in a row. Like this kid.
I hope
this
Max
man,
wrecks house today.
This man can play. It's a better move though, because exactly you got to go deal with Christian Watson and Max Crosby and a defense that has been, playing pretty well. Like, yeah. So, I mean, I get it. I think Canales looked at it and was like, dude, Dalton does give us the best chance to win. It's not that I can't see what's in Bryce Young, but we got to get him to that point. So let's develop him without him seeing ghosts.
Well,
right?
Give him a chance to step away and the rest of the team a chance to maybe gel or get better.
Get behind a quarterback who's won some games in the NFL.
Sure.
All of this does make sense.
So are we all on that bandwagon that they're not going to move off of him?
No, I don't think you do. I stand on the idea that they don't.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. I agree.
But I mean, since it is a possibility, I just want to throw it out there. Like, man, if they move off of him, there's some teams that are still quarterback hungry.
They have a draft pick this year, don't they?
Yes.
And they will move off of Bryce Young.
It really.
You think at the end of the season?
Yep. They will take Shadur Sanders or whoever the fuck. They will be off of Bryce Young. Shadur Sanders is a perfect quarterback for that owner.
That seems likely, actually.
Mark it down. I'm calling it.
Okay.
Shadur Sanders to the Panthers.
So since that's a possibility, obviously, where do we think Bryce Young could land? Because there are some hot, like we talked about quarterback hungry teams.
It's
this
whole
Tua situation.
It's going to be one of the offensive dudes. Is that what you're going to say, Charlie?
Well, what I was going to say is one of the articles on ESPN this morning was that they've already started receiving
offers.
Conversations.
Was it Dolphins one of them?
I didn't read into the team.
Because I like that poll.
That would make sense. I mean, he had a good track record. I mean, Daniel with Tua.
Correct.
He got so much better if Young could go there and sit. There's some other places, but that's definitely one of the top spots.
He'd be starting. Tua ain't coming back.
Well, that's we'll see. But
hold on, sidebar.
Hey, prayers up for Tua overall.
Seriously, prayers. I know I called it last year and was just saying it, but it's rough, dude.
There's
and
not.
It wasn't even a bad hit.
There's not.
He just took
one.
It was
a
bad decision,
but it was a normal hit though. Like that's what I'm saying.
Overall,
it's a normal hit. So anytime he gets out of the pocket and gets hit, dude, he went stiff again.
I know.
It wasn't like he just got up and had the shakes. He went stiffed.
I almost vomited.
That's why his career doesn't seem like it's
hard to watch. It was hard to watch.
Unfortunately for him.
Yeah, no.
But fortunately, he just got that big contract. I don't know. I mean, that's not guaranteed, but he still got some.
Here's what I think should happen, okay? Is that he voluntarily retires and then Miami lets him have his signing bonus because that was like 50+ million, right? And then you give the rest of the guaranteed back because you're choosing to retire. But because if you choose to retire, they can try to take that signing bonus as well. So you come to an amicable decision of like, hey, bro, this is what's best for me and probably for the organization. And then as Miami, you let him have his signing bonus, and then everybody ends happy. He gets more than enough money to fucking have his family and be set.
And then you go trade for Bryce Young.
And that's good for...
And then you move some equity to get a young... Or if you guys suck that bad, you're probably in the top part of the draft anyway.
Possibly.
You can maybe make a move to the top of the draft if you like one of those guys better.
But not only is that good for the player, but it's good for the organization because that makes free agents want to play for you when they see you take care of your own.
And as well as you should have in the sense of like... he's a human, man. Like,
dude, he's getting fucked up.
I cannot believe that. Like, I know his family has got to be telling him, Tua, like, we love you, bro. We fucking love you. Like, this game is not worth your life. He's still only 27, 28. He's not even 30. He's a young man. Like,
yeah.
So I think there needs to be some amicable understanding from both the player and the organization. I hope that Miami takes the high road on this. It all depends.
What are you doing, bro?
It really does all depends in the sense of
That's what she said.
What if?
Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. What if Tua wants to? Okay. What if Tua wants to play and he gets medically cleared?
That's on the coaching staff at that point.
I mean,
can
that's
they
a tough
bar?
decision.
They just have to bench him then, right? Is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Oof. That'd be tough.
If he gets cleared and he comes back, like he's just really one more away. If that, I mean, if they even let him come back, I don't think they should.
Look at that. I don't know how you can look at that and say, "Oh, I want him to play more football."
Yeah, that's a tough decision, man.
Well, either way, man, that one got a little heavy. But here, hold on. We're gonna cheers.
You got some work to do.
Yeah, you guys.
So before let's start with just jump. Oh, so it's Chuck's finishing that.
Good finish.
I wasn't really ready for that. Good job, pal. I was gonna try to sidebar into something. But
You were gonna try to sidebar.
We had you covered in case.
Yeah, I had you covered.
You thought. See,
Not
this
wrong.
is the misconception about my drinking ability. It's not that I can't drink fast; it's that I choose not to.
We never said you couldn't. We were just
Don't lie to me. You don't have to lie to kick it.
talking about stuff.
Just talking about stuff. That's what this pod is about. We're gonna change our
So,
name to talking about stuff.
Chuck, are you anywhere closer to jumping on my Josh Allen train just for a quick sidebar? Or are you staying off that train? Because I don't know if you're allowed on that train after you answer this question.
Okay, look, I can conduct whatever train I choose.
But I'm conducting this one. This one
the
dodges.
JA train. The
Oh,
JA train.
you know I'm
I
directing
I
that.
know, brother. You've been a railroad for that guy for years.
Yep.
I mean, he's playing lights out right now, and it's because, well, it's not because, but the thought process is he's at peace. He doesn't have to worry about getting one guy the ball. He doesn't have to worry about, he just goes out there and gets to play football. And the guys with him understand, hey, sometimes I find you, sometimes I find him, sometimes and that defense has stepped up pretty well considering they lost a lot of names,
Yes.
right? So,
But see, that's what I was trying. When everybody was saying that last year, I was trying to say all the guys that got hurt last year, all the
were
guys
all the
that-
names.
that
Poyer
were
didn't
left.
play, Milano didn't play.
All the other guys
right.
stepped up, and those guys are
They
still on
haven't
the team.
had center problems, which I thought they were going
Could
to
be
after
after
Morris.
losing
Yeah,
Morris.
for sure. So,
But
I'm going to answer this in its totality, just in the sense of I will say that Allen is doing what Allen needs to do, and if he stays this course, he is going to be in line top 3 MVP, potentially on top of the heap. He just, as long as he feels like he doesn't have to Superman. That's the problem with Allen. Is sometimes he tries to feel like he has to Superman, and that's where he forces it because he believes in his arm. And I don't blame him because he's got one of the strongest arms we've ever seen.
If not the strongest.
Yeah, but sometimes he makes foolish reads, but he hasn't yet. We're 2 weeks in, and he has not made a boo-boo play yet. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
yeah, kind of a different perspective. I know a lot has been put on Diggs as being.
Hold on before we cheers.
Oh.
Finish your sentence. Oh no, we finish.
Okay. Before, a lot has been put on Diggs as far as the media goes as him being that problem on the offense. I think the offense has actually gotten better around him. I like the pieces that they've brought in, and I think that's part of the reason for their beneficial play. And also the change in offensive coordinator they had last season.
I think that was a
I
huge
like
home
Brady
run.
too, man. Like him with the pieces they brought in, I think is starting to unlock Allen even further. Like,
Not only that, James Cook be balling.
yes, that's
So-
So we got another brewski we're about to try. This is a cider. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Here we go.
Cheers.
Love the color of this.
Smells delicious. Oh, yeah.
That's absolutely
Yep.
delicious.
Oh, that's wonderful. Very juicy, which is very aptly named.
I like that. It's very juicy.
It is. The Far West Cider Company in Napa, California.
It's delicious. Man.
I was expecting more north. When I read California, that was that's delicious. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of that. 5.5.
Yeah, this is in wine country.
You're talking apple.
Yep.
If you like apple juice, this is almost like treetop with booze.
It's
For real.
It's very juicy. I
Very
like that.
appley.
I like how it is juicy. You almost get like that. It's like you're getting the juice of the apple. Like
Love
is.
it. So
I like it a lot.
Treetop with booze. I'm gonna go buy another 4-pack.
Oh yeah, buy a bunch of packs.
Shout out Kraft, dude. They know what they're doing.
Man, we've been cidering up lately.
Yep.
Me and Trev did 2 on ours, and then
I
had
find that
some
it's
when
just.
you were going
I
down.
find that it's the nicest way to offset beer, if you will. But like, not that we do seltzers, and we
mean-
do like the lagers or whatever. But I'm talking about when you really want a different flavor roll,
like you're
of
saying,
the dice.
it's a great contrast. 'Cause
Palate
the beer,
cleanser.
you have that like
We get all
the
those
rich,
IPAs.
the bitter flavor, but with the cider, it's more of the crisp kind of refresh.
Or it can be sweet, depending
Sweet
on how
too.
you want to play it,
Yep.
for sure. But
That
it's
pair one we had so many weeks ago,
dude,
months
the
ago.
Ace pair, yeah,
That is
Ace,
good.
yeah, they're
That one was sweet.
phenomenal.
It's real sweet, but it's a good cider.
but that Two Towns pair was pretty good too.
yeah, agreed.
Pear's a
Anything
great-
by Two Town Cider House.
Two Towns
has
has been one that we've
even
really
their Cosmic, their Imperials were good too. Remember,
Yeah,
we've had a grip of them. Shout out
If you
to
want to try some cider,
Two
Two
Towns Cider
Two
House,
Towns.
yeah,
And
man.
then you find them on taps
Not
at
being paid for
at
that.
Bullies and stuff too.
Yeah, no,
So
they're
you're on tap.
Well,
at
they're
places.
from Corvallis, Oregon. I
So,
remember this because I've read
West
this can
Coast.
enough.
West
yeah.
Coast.
So shout out to that.
West Coast.
I mean, it's hard to refute these days, man. Outside of
So let's jump back into
beer
some
and
of that,
cider, yeah.
some of that football talk.
Yahweh.
Yeah. Let's take it back.
Take it back now,
It's
y'all.
our
2 hops this time.
well, it's our common sense and everything all wrapped into one. It's called the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh.
And throwing a football on third and whatever instead of running it. Nick Sirianni.
Well, it was
I will not
Kellen
be
Moore's decision ultimately, right?
I
But
don't know.
Sirianni's got to okay that. He's had.
dude,
Nick
this
Sirianni,
fucking
if you
cider is
don't-
delicious.
If you don't, which we barely made him make the playoffs, I think every one of us, right?
No, I had him winning the division.
Yeah,
Win the division, but
I don't
barely
have
making the
anyone
playoffs.
else in that East making the division
Me
because
neither.
I hate the East this year.
Me too. I had him as like the number 4 seed or whatever.
Yep, me too.
I wouldn't say that's but I had them winning like 11 games though. I didn't have them barely making the playoffs.
If they lose to the Saints today,
They're down
that's-
3-0 at half.
That is
Weird score, right?
Lot
You
of
would at
defense.
least think that there'd be
defensive
more
battle.
offense,
defense.
a little bit more offense.
But like I'm starting to say though, if they lose today, that there's got to be some. There's problems. There's problems in that locker room
'Cause that roster is fucking
Sirianni
loaded.
hurts. They.
Oh,
there's
the paperweight on that team is heavy, but if you can't go out there and do it, then
Third quarter just started. Eagles got the ball, so we'll see what they can do.
sure. I mean, it's a tale of two halves, dude. As
Sure.
any football fan will
who
tell
can
you,
make the adjustments.
1000%.
But
you
man,
can-
that is worrisome. If you're a Philly fan, though,
Yeah, no, I agree because it's hard when you look at an all-pro like lineup and you're putting up regular and below regular numbers.
Because you look at it and it should be one of the best lineups. I know that
1000%.
the receiver core was top heavy, so you lose Brown, okay. But you still have Smith and you still have other things
you
there.
have Goddard.
Yeah.
You
You Barkley
just
out of the
traded for
backfield.
Dotson.
Right.
No, they have a team.
Man.
A team.
And then you're like just not. So it's not one from one offense to another offensive coordinator because both coordinators haven't been very good. So it has something to do with maybe your personnel maybe isn't as lead as we
I don't know.
thought.
I think, but no, their
Defensively,
offense,
you're
their
not
offense
doing-
has been pretty good up until this half of football. Now, granted, that dropped football in that certain situation matters way more than another third and whatever drop that Barkley might have had earlier in the game or whatever. Situationally, it just weighs
You gotta
way
catch
too
that-
heavy.
you gotta catch that football, but you gotta
overall
call that
their
play.
offense.
Yeah.
Overall their offense has been playing pretty well,
That's-
especially considering they're missing AJ Brown.
You don't call that play.
yeah, it's
No, I don't
bad
disagree
play
with
call.
that.
It's
I'm not
bad
saying I
execution.
disagree with
It's
that.
bad
But
all
that's
over.
one play, though. If you look at the scope of the way that offense is ran, they're actually in a lot of top 10 metrics.
But with Sirianni, he doesn't seem to take responsibility or put that on him.
I will agree
What
with
a
that
good
as well.
coach
I don't
would.
like hearing
He's
his pressers.
someone that's pushing off the blame, and you don't, as a coach, that's not good for the locker room. It's not good for the team. Like, own up. Own up.
Maybe he's the first guy to go, like I kind of said early on.
It
instead of
seems like
fucking-
he's playing scared. That's what it comes off as to me.
Well, because Bill Belichick's
Yeah.
sitting in his back pocket, hanging out, doing fucking the Manning cast, talking
Oof.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It's just
Fuck
to
no.
see that.
Dude, he's.
Is he
I don't.
coming back next year? Is he
I'm
coming
off.
back
I've
next
not
year?
been on the Nick Sirianni train forever, so
No,
I think
I'm not
he's
talking about
toast.
Sirianni. I mean Belichick.
Belichick.
In any
I don't
capacity.
know.
A head
I don't
coach.
know.
Head coach would be the only way he comes back. Is he coming
He's
back?
gonna get a shot. There's gonna be some teams
He's going to
that
get a
give him
shot,
an offer.
and one of them, and they're both going to come from the NL or the NFC East.
Be probably
Cowboys, Eagles?
Those are the top two favorites, I'd say. For sure.
Wow.
Them or the Giants. I'd say all
Oh,
three
the
teams.
Gigantes.
I say all three teams.
Okay.
Goddamn.
I say the only coach.
Goddamn.
I say the only coach that's safe in the East is Dan Quinn and the Commanders.
Just because he's so new that it's like even
Dayball, dude. I think if Dayball doesn't succeed this year, boom.
How crazy
we're
is that?
bringing
2
Belichick
years
back.
removed from winning Coach of the Year, fired. Vrabel did that even less. He was 1 year removed and got let go by Tennessee. Now Callahan.
I don't like those moves.
At head coach, you know what builds continuity the most is a coaching staff for sure. Like, and if Homeboy was winning 12 games a year, yes, his playoff resume wasn't wonderful, but god damn, dude, taking the unknown versus a 12-game winner, a consistent 12-game winner,
Yeah, I'd much rather
is
take a page
absurd.
out of Baltimore's or Pittsburgh's
Harbaugh,
kind of ownership.
Tomlin,
You just pick a coach,
Power.
let him see. Let's see what he has. 1 year isn't going to tell you enough.
Hell, sometimes
2
2
years
or
not
3
going to tell you
years.
enough. 3 years is minimum.
As long as you're competitive within those years, I think has
Yes.
to be the caveat, right? Like Jonathan Gannon right now has my
Yeah.
interest peaked as a head coach because
Yes, offensively, what can we talk about them actually?
The Cardinals?
Good job.
Yes.
How in the dude? They gave it up against the Bills. Josh Allen had a
they
great.
came close to coming back and they made that game competitive. They
that-
kept that game
well,
competitive.
well, they had the lead, and then
Right.
Josh brought him back, and
Right.
then they caught. But then you get this last week where they just beat the living piss out of the Rams. I mean, dude, the Cardinals.
He's not wrong.
The Cardinals' offenses looked really well. Kyler's probably played the best.
deep-
Is he playing in the system? Does he believe now? Our one thing with Kyler was he never played in the system.
Well, and they have a lot of better pieces around him too on that offense. That offense is legit for sure.
I think once again you look. So here's the thing.
Are we on the Arizona train?
I think I don't ever want to be on the Arizona.
I don't
train.
want to be on that train either, but
I
they
don't-
look good
I
so
think
far.
that he once again doesn't feel the pressure of having to give it to anybody. He's
Yep.
got a really skilled tight end in McBride. James
Yes.
Conner's still playing really well.
Yep.
Trey Benson.
They brought
has he
him
been
in.
playing good?
You have
Trey Benson hasn't done much yet.
you have Michael Wilson and
He's the kid from Stanford's a stud.
he's been
Harrison
playing well.
Jr.,
And then
though, had a
Harrison
game
Jr.
last
broke out last
week.
week. Like
Yep.
no, I think it's once again the idea of team building.
Yes.
And understanding the guys that are good for the roster. And he's got
Exactly.
guys who play well with him because his elusiveness is next. Watching
And the coach that can get that.
It's dizzying to watch Kyler Murray play quarterback, bro. Like
can be.
every
He's
now
one
and
of the
again he
better
can
short
drop back and he
quarterbacks
can
in the
dish
league.
it, but the best way Kyler Murray is he's a creator.
Yep.
Let him get 3 or 4 extra steps outside the pocket, and he just can. He can make the most skilled defenders look like fools in the open field. I mean, he's absurdly talented when it comes to that. And, like, he's got a good arm for a smaller dude. He's a baseball guy.
Yes.
He's got a great arm. He can dish it, and he's got good accuracy. Call of Duty, drops next month, so watch out, Cardinals.
Dude, somebody else made that joke,
I
too.
know,
dude.
I know, I'm stealing it. Yeah. And watch out for it's like October 7th is when Black Ops 6
Yeah,
drops,
somebody
so
else
just
said
be
that.
careful.
Somebody else said that.
we're good after that, right?
So before we jump into our fandom, let's go over a couple. Let's go over some scores real quick. Giants up 21-7 on the Browns. Packers
Ooh,
up.
Giants up 21-7?
Yeah, my boy
Damn.
Midleague Neighbors has got 2 tutties.
Hey, we
So
want some-
how about that Deshaun Watson, huh? How's that contract going?
Yeah,
Worst
that
in
should
the
be
league?
worse than the league.
I mean, that has to be.
Packers up 20-7 on the Titans.
Packers, man.
Let me refresh just to make sure that
Before coaching candidate of the year.
that's what I'm saying. Bears and Colts just started
what
the
I'm
third
saying.
quarter, 7-0 Colts. Vikings and Texans 14-0 just started the third quarter.
Man, Texans, where you at?
New Orleans still
Where
up
they at?
3-0.
That's why
on the
dude,
Eagles.
if Minnesota wins this game in that convincing of a fashion,
Then we're gonna be jumping on that bandwagon.
I already said I was on the bandwagon, so you guys are just joining
I'm
me.
hesitant. I gotta see
You
what
guys are
today
just joining
does.
me again.
I'll be joining you.
Where you at now?
Chargers,
how it goes.
Steelers 10-10. Chargers,
Okay,
Steelers
even?
10-10.
Okay. That sounds about right.
Broncos, Bucks 20-7, and that's it for the morning games right now.
Man, some shockers in there. Some good ones, some shockers. 20-7. Denver going to Tampa Bay.
Into Tampa Bay, dude.
Tampa. Yeah.
10
That
o'clock game.
Those cannons aren't firing super hard right now.
Fuck no, man.
Pirate ship is sinking.
He's a little silent ship. All right, Donnie,
Black
what's
Pearl.
our fandom, brother?
Fandom this week. Let's just give an overview of what our teams think.
2 weeks in, what do you feel? Give me some, Raiders. Coach Downey, how you feeling?
Well, we've made some really bad coaching decisions. Honestly,
Pierce is not shining the light that you want him to.
Pierce, first week against the Chargers, 4th and 1 on their 41 with 7 minutes left. You go for that down 10-16. You go for that. You need 7. You don't punt it away, and then they score. So it looks 22-10. So that's on the coach there. Offensive line has not played good. Colt Miller being kind of hurt all offseason has showed starting the season. He has not been the rock that he's been through the rest of the seasons. He's struggled, which has made the whole offensive line struggle. No run game. Last week, come out, get the big win. Great second half. Defense has been stellar. 22 points is very, in the first game, is misleading. Get on the field a lot.
Sure.
But defense has been outstanding, like I thought. Robert Spillane is showing that he's a stud backer. Diablo's playing stud at linebacker. Spillane. Diablo's playing stud at linebacker. He is not playing, I think, in this game. I think he's game time. Off defensive line, obviously Max Crosby could be MVP through the first 2 weeks of the season. He's been an absolute destroyer of men.
Max. It's one of the most accurate nicknames we got right now.
It's so good.
He just is like, if you don't love him, you absolutely hate him. Right? He's so divisive. I like him. I think he's great. I think he's Marshawn Lynch right now. Is his character, if you will, or how he goes about his ways.
I just can't wait. I just want him to be more national televised, so to get him in that conversation is where he should be.
He's still actually probably underrated unless you're in the know.
They put him. A lot of people put him at 5. I think
as edge rusher.
Yeah, because you got Watt and Bosa and Garrett,
yeah,
and then you have Parsons, and then they kind of go Max there.
Wouldn't you call Parsons a linebacker though? More like a strict, like he's more of an off ball that rushes because he plays that 2 technique in the back all the time.
I know Parsons is like very talented, but the way that Cowboys defense is played, like he should not be up there.
So then you get
he's not a leader. That's his
talent.
problem. Parsons, you listen to him talk, like he does not sound like a leader.
He whines a little bit.
He's very much taking on the Cowboys persona.
He's a whiner. He likes to jerk Jerry off with the Lubriderm.
The running game has not been great, but that's offensive line wise. You know who's been great?
Who?
Brock Bowers. Everything.
He had a breakout game against
even game
Baltimore.
1, he was so good. Michael Mayer had a couple good catches too. Devontae had a really good game against Baltimore as well.
We do have a lot of pass catchers.
Offensive line needs if offensive line locks up, and I still thought Antonio Pierce had a couple bad decisions against the Baltimore game. There was one time he went for it when he shouldn't have went for it. So he's not really great on the 4th and 1s at this point in time.
Which brings me to a sidebar.
Do you believe more in the analytics, or do you believe more in just the flow of the game?
Well, it's because also time and place.
That's what I'm saying. Situation, right? But do you lead more on the percentages of we should get this, or do you just go on the flow of the game of like it's been hard as fuck to get here? Let's get the 3. If it's 4th and 1,
no, you kick. I think you take. I'm almost. You
don't chase points. I'm
almost in the advantage of taking the 3 until you get to the point to where you need to not go for it.
That's the old school way of thought, and that's where I've been conditioned to think. And with these analytics, and sometimes it works. Sometimes Dan Campbell looks like a fucking beast because he goes for 4 downs a couple of times.
Awful.
Sometimes you look awful, right? The analytics of the percentages are around everything, not just this one decision. So like I'm so much more. Don't chase points. Listen to the flow of the game. Like, you can't just, the analytics say we should get this 76% of the time. Let's go for it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Analytics, like the numbers, I understand the numbers, but the reason the numbers are the way they are is because of the flow of the game, I feel like, in a lot of those situations. Those reasons that it's high is because that's a play that should work, but if it's not working this week, then maybe you don't make that push. It just makes more sense.
That's more or less the point I'm trying to make.
So finish out my Raider.
Agreed with.
Finish out my Raider talk. I think
the fandom needs to finish.
I think that this week is it's only week 3, but I think it's a huge game because it's a game you're supposed to win. So with those supposed to win games at this point in your franchise and juncture of your team, you have to win the games. You can't drop this game.
And especially after having that big win last week, you don't want to come out flat.
Let me ask you. Let's end all of our fandoms with this. 1 out of 10 confidence.
It's still pretty high. This weekend win or the season? We're still making the playoffs.
Season. So you're 8.
I'm still making the playoffs. I'm number 7 seed.
Yeah.
Jump on that bandwagon if you want, Chuck.
Nope. I ain't smelling them vapors.
It's right there for everybody on.
Nope. Can't smell it. Can't smell the Raiders from here. They long gone
in
the wrong direction. No,
So, I mean, there's been the injury issues, but I still feel good about my team overall. I'd like to see, Feliciano, when he comes back healthy, he's out on IR, replace Brindle at center. I think our offensive line is better this year. If he comes back and is able to play at center, I think that takes us to another level because that offensive line will be better than it's ever. It'll be one of the better offensive lines that we've had in recent memory, if that happens. As far as Hargrave goes, he's been kind of a disappointment, actually, not living up to that contract. If we could move off of him just to free up that money, I would be okay with that because the play that we're getting from the backups is just as good as his. I'd like to see him improve. We still have time to, before the trade deadline to make that decision, but that's something I would consider for my team. But that's pretty much it for the main moves for my team.
1 out of 10 confidence in the San Francisco 49ers. When
making the playoffs? Or?
Just right now, team-wise. Yeah, all your injuries, how long are they going to be? Are they sustained injuries? McCaffrey's a big question mark.
Everyone seems to be coming back. The only question mark is McCaffrey. But I think we're a good enough team without McCaffrey to still make the playoffs.
Okay.
So it's very little concern for me. I still put us probably at right.
And what happens if you lose today?
This is normally a get-right game for the Niners playing against McVay, especially with the injuries that they have. If we lose today, I'll worry a little bit more. I still think we're the most talented team in our division and should still make the playoffs. We might not be the number 1 team in the NFC record-wise, but I would be really surprised if we don't make the playoffs.
Charlie.
I would be very surprised if you guys don't make the playoffs either. Even with the current injuries, we're at week 3. There's a lot of talent on that roster. Yeah. There's a lot of time to get right. I think you'll be fine. Now, like you said, making the push for the 1 seed is tough because you got to stack wins. And if you falter a little bit more, you might be in, you're still going to push for the NFC West.
Yep.
Because the Cardinals are,
I think we just talked about Chippy. At worst.
The Seahawks 2-0 right now. We sit on top, which is where my fandom comes into play. But then the Rams just got to get right, and they have a good roster too. So I think
their injury concerns are more concerning than the Niners.
I agree with that. And
just because I think the Niners have better depth than the Rams.
As a fandom from the Seahawks corner, man, of course I'm stoked. 2-0 is amazing. Until we lose, we haven't lost, right? Like that feels
great feeling.
It is. It's wonderful. Factual games. This isn't just 0-0. Everybody has faith at 0-0. When you're actually 2-0, we've won some games. Now, we benefited from an easy schedule. The Broncos, who are looking good today, and the Patriots, who we had to take to OT last week in week 2, which we didn't get to cover because we were camping.
Jets finally looked good against them, though.
Yeah, they absolutely
I think the shoe finally dropped on that Patriots game.
Probably.
I was thinking it was going to happen, and I just was hesitant because of the first 2 weeks. But
Sure. But no, Rodgers knew what he was doing. Went out there and diced him up.
Yep.
Looked real good. Got enough support from the running game. That fucking number 0, Braylon Edwards or whatever. What's his name? Braylon
that
Allen?
Rookie from Wisconsin.
Looking sharp, dude.
235.
Absolutely. And he can move. He can catch. He's 20 years old. They have the oldest player and the youngest player, and they're hooking up on drives, dude. Fucking that team has a long way to grow. Not a long way to grow, but your Jets pick
Hassan
could take shape.
Hasn't still even.
Who cares at this point?
You get back to your fan.
If he comes back, though, that defense can take it up a notch.
I will. We get Miami here in an hour at home against a backup quarterback. So
Skylar Thompson.
Right.
K-State.
We should win this game.
K-State.
And I don't care what anybody says in the fact of if we're 3-0, we're 3-0. We can only beat the teams that are in front of us until we get to the team that beats us. right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, an undefeated regular season has only happened a couple of times, and it hasn't happened since Tom Brady and, the New England Patriots. It was at 2008 or something like that.
Giants in the Super Bowl.
Right. But they ran the regular season table.
Still didn't win.
Correct. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm just saying, no, you expect not to be defeated somewhere in the regular season. Nobody's expecting
There's
a
always
17
that
and 0.
week where maybe
A fumble goes the wrong way.
the ball bounces the wrong way.
So many
injuries
holding
catch
calls.
up to you.
You can't overcome penalties
I don't
or some
expect
shit.
to lose any week.
Damn. Goddamn.
Says the guy with a 1-1 record. Expectation is different than understanding that it will happen. Anyway, I'm very confident in we're banged up at running back. Kenneth Walker, we need you, brother. That really makes our offense click. Gino has played well. He threw one really fucking bad pick against the Broncos right to open up that game, and then we settled down. We're relatively healthy. We're the healthiest team in the NFC West, which is a huge, plus right now, as it were. So we're trying to
Healthier than the
potentially get some
Cardinals?
separation. Yeah, the Cardinals are
do
pretty
have a
healthy
couple.
too.
But yeah, you guys are similar as far as health goes.
Yes, yeah. We have enough of our starters. Like, Kenneth Walker is our biggest name. That is N.A. Lucas, but he didn't start the season. So technically, guys who don't start the season, do I consider he hasn't played yet, so I'm not missing him. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But George Fant did blow his shit out, and he's out another game, so that's not good.
Yeah, what is with your tight end position real
Not
quick?
our tight end, that's our right tackle.
Oh.
Our left tackle, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Right tackle is an absolute stud in Charles Cross.
Okay.
Left tackle
Fant's
is
still
able
a
to
tight
defend
end,
and
Fan's still a tight end though.
I mean,
Noah Fant.
Noah Fant?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that hasn't popped yet. It sucks because I put on wax that I thought he was going to have a super big year, and through 2 weeks, he hasn't.
It seems like you've had a room of tight ends and no one's really emerged.
No, right, and now Disley and Parkinson are in both LA teams, Chargers and Rams. One of them signed with each of them. So I thought Fant was going to be featured, and it's still only 3 weeks in. He's going to have a pop game at some point. He runs like 87% routes.
So what's your 1 through 10 on playoff of your number 7 seed you got right here on this?
Oh, my
piece of paper?
confidence
Yes.
in my team right now is at least it's at an 8. It's above a 7. It's an 8. Because it can't be at a 10 because I'm not for sure in. But I am hype. I am hype as fuck. Especially if we can get 3-0, because what that allots, I know
That's big,
It's a
actually.
terrible way to think about it, but it gives you that buffer if you have that shit
Yep.
week. Right? You can have a shit week. You've earned one shit week somewhere in there,
Because-
maybe even 2, especially when the rest of the conference is hurt and behind you. So
Yep.
it does depend, right? That Niners-Rams game, I'm getting 2 games, knock on wood, up on somebody in theory. It depends. I still have to win. Now, we kick off in an hour, and come on,
Same.
Seahawks. Yeah, every one of us do. We're all afternoon games, so we got to wrap this motherfucker up.
Well,
so
check us out on Instagram and Spotify.
absolutely,
X.
beer's gonna be X on X. Yeah.
Instagram and X. Quick
Don't-
shout out to Foxton, which I visited just the other day. Finally, it's
Oh,
a good
nice.
spot. That cherry porter that they
Yeah.
have, that cherry chocolate porter was pretty good. I got a flight of beers from them. I had their hazy.
Why didn't we
Legit
bring this
spot.
up during
Oh,
the beer talk?
I'm sorry, but we had other talks about.
We talked about
so I'm trying to
camping.
throw it in at
That's
the end
true.
real
Hi,
quick.
baby
That's
Trev.
true.
Don't worry about what he says.
But yeah, I had
can
we
worry
had
about what I
their
say.
Shaquille O'Neal.
we had their
The ball, it bounced. When Shaq talked like this.
got those Irish nachos, which was an appetizer, but it's more of a share kind of appetizer
Yeah.
because that was filling as fuck. And then that pastrami sandwich is good. If you like pastrami
Shout,
sandwiches,
shout.
that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that was one of the better ones
It
I've
smacked.
had.
I agree. Okay, cool. Well, then week 3 is gonna, finish up, and then we're gonna be back for week 4 in Pod 68.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.